Okay, thank you for stopping in. Again, I wanted to do a deeper dive on Vixen. I kind of just profiled her powers and what she can do in the comic book sense, but I want to talk about what she really represents in mythology as well, or at least the connections, because we know lots of comic books draw off of actual mythology. Now, Vixen is primarily linked to African mythology, particularly West African and Central African spiritual traditions. Her powers come from the Tantu Totem, a mystical artifact that is tied to Anansi, the spider myth, a well-known trickster deity in West African folklore. Now, we also know that this spider god is a god of wisdom, storytelling, and trickery. He is said to be, in mythology, the keeper of knowledge and often bestows wisdom on those that he deems worthy. So this whole connection really suggests that she has to show all these traits of being intelligent, being adaptable, and being cunning to get these blessings, which she gets from this deity. So that's a big connection to real life West African myths. In addition, she's tied to this belief or this global force called the Red, which is like really seen as, animal spirit, or how they reflect as animal spirit. And of course, in many spiritual African systems, they believe in the natural spirits that guide and empower individuals. This really aligns with her powers in being that she can tap into animal spirits and get what they have. And this concept of totem energy is really derived from various African tribes, including the Zulu, Yoruba, and Igbo peoples. All kind of reflected totems that they knew were spiritually linked to forces. So when we look at it a little bit further, like there's definitely connections to the Yoruba spirits, and I would say she seems to liken Oshi, who is like the hunter, Ogun, the spirit, and Oya, the storm goddess, all who have animalistic symbolism that kind of parallels her primal abilities, that tap into the animal force. Now, in the Zulu belief system, it suggests that great warriors and protectors can draw on the strength of past ancestors or natural forces, very much like what Vixen's bond is with this animal spirit. We see some more mythology, particularly tied to panther and lion mythologies that we see reflected in Bantu and Central African tribes. So the lion, the panther, and the elephant are sacred animals to many African warrior traditions, symbolizing strength, leadership, and wisdom. These are all qualities that we see manifest in her as she's depicted. And many African warriors wore animal pelts or totems to invoke the power of whatever their spirit animal is. So she really embodies a lot of actual African beliefs and how they've written this character out, which I think they've done a great job. Now, the other part of Vixen is I want to look at her more modern significance. Now, this is a character that was generated or created in 1981, and we have to look at what was, again, the historical background. Now, this coincides with the rise of black superheroes, really, that started in the 70s and the 80s. We saw an increase in black superheroes in both Marvel and DC as a larger cultural shift. So we started seeing, the Black Panther, who came out in 1966, Luke Cage in 1972, Storm came on the scene in 1975. So now we're starting to see these really paving the way for more black characters, and that included Vixen. Now, she was meant to be a very strong, independent black woman. Unlike her earlier portrayals of black women in comic books really being more sidekicks, she's like a stand-up front character. She can really be a solo actor herself, and that's really where her path really started at. Now, unlike other black heroes in urban settings, Vixen's origins tie her directly to Africa, which really played on the sense of, mystical traditions, legendary warrior spirits. She really embodies all that. And then we look at the totem symbolism. This is key to African animism, where, spiritual energy flows through animals, flows through nature. So the idea of, using these natural spirits, being empowered by ancestral power and being passed down really goes a long way, and we see it reflected even in the Black Panthers going back and touching his African roots, right? Like digging into his ancestral roots. Now, the other part of her, like, she is also seen as a modern woman with a modeling career. Like, this is a new shift. This is, and at this time, 70s, 80s, this is where we're seeing the rise of like Beverly Johnson, Iman, Naomi Sims. Like, they were like mainstream fashion beauties. This rejection of of Eurocentric beauty standards really coincided with showcasing that black women were powerful, beautiful, successful. So she plays a lot in that role, and this role as a model and a hero really, I think, put her up at the top of like the most loved among young black women at that time if they were looking for strong hero models. So she has a great connection culturally. So I think what she represents is a great fusion of African heritage with a more modern black identity, and she bridges some gaps for the diaspora. Her strength, beauty, intelligence, and connection to Africa make her one of DC's most important contributions in this overall conversation. So in short, absolutely, I love Vixen. You know, I definitely want to dig more into like where her roots were from, seeing where she comes from in mythology, and also seeing what she represents in modern representation. Like it's a click. Like she's Beverly Johnson and she's a great warrior. So Vixen gives us all of it. Like, if you have more that you want to add to this piece on this like incredible character, please hit me up in the comment section. But as always, hit that like and subscribe.